Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Aaron Branch, and you're listening to Monday Morning Critic.
Let me ask you, man, like a unique guy, man. Stage, stand up,
Yeah,
acting.
man.
Like, I feel like, I'm not bragging, but like 400 interviews, I think I've talked to a lot of people. It's a combination. I don't see a lot. When people tell me they do stand up, like you legitimately do stand up. Like you are
Yeah,
in front of a
no.
crowd, you are honing your craft. I've seen that. It's amazing.
Thanks,
Like,
man.
yeah, but it's like, I don't know, like that trio is hard. That is a hard
hmm
trio, Aaron.
It really is, man. And I feel extremely lucky I started so early. I really feel like I was able to get um ahead just by simply understanding that I wanted to do it. It also didn't help that it also helped, I guess, that I kind of like just hated school in general. So I think having an outlet that was acting and then adding on the comedy piece to it when I was like 15 and 16, I think kind of just gave me a really solid foundation, but a lot of really early lessons that unfortunately a lot of people have to learn in their early 20s, But I will also say right now is the youngest I've ever seen stand-up comedians. I wouldn't be surprised if 5 to 10 years down the line, you're going to meet a lot more people that are like me on a mass scale, just because it's become such a cool and trendy thing to be a stand-up comedian when you're like 18 or 19.
So I have something to add to that, but I want to ask you. There's a stand-up
Yeah.
comedian I was listening to. I'm gonna butcher the name because I wasn't. This is not my note. Matt something. He's popular.
Matt Rife. Matt Rife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt Rife.
Literally,
Yes.
I just performed with Matt last night at the Improv in Hollywood. Yeah.
His approach to stand-up comedy is very unlike the guys I'm going to bring up in our interview. It's very
Mhm.
like he interacts with the audience, and there's
Yep.
some comedians, there's a couple of British comedians I can think of that will absolutely toast you if you even try to say something. Like the way he's almost, I don't want to say he's dependent, but like he welcomes audience interaction. Like he wants it. Like it's not like people are like heckling him. He wants that. But that's an interesting perspective, Aaron, the way he kind of approaches that.
It's true. And also, kind of going back to the point I made before, he started when he was very young as well. Matt
Right.
is hilarious. And on top of that, he's really good at like reading crowds and like reading rooms. And that's one of his superpowers, I feel like every comedian kind of has like a thing that they can always pull out of their arsenal of being like, no matter what, if I do this, I know this is going to kill them. You know what I mean? And it might be that crowd work is kind of one of his things. Crowd work is not necessarily my strong suit, like I'm like writer's brain,
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
really, really analytical and try to be very specific about the things that I write. And that's always served me well. That it's always that whenever I have done that, I've always seen myself succeed. So I try to stick to that. But if I need to take down a heckler, I will. I've had to do that a few times. But yeah,
I don't get that. I don't get why you pay money to go to a show and then like it's like people that pay to go to a movie that just released and just effing ruining it for everybody else. Like I don't
Dude, some people just enjoy it. Like some people go to, unlike you obviously, but some people go to comedy shows, bro, literally just to either get picked on or see someone else get picked on. They love it. They love it.
That is insane. But you know what the thing I'm thinking of is like so your background is you have like again, you have some stage and we're gonna get into it. You have some stage, you have some screen obviously, but like I wish there was high schools. You talked about high school earlier where it was like you weren't thrilled with like high school. Like how do you as a comedian like there's no like form Second City, I get it. I don't think can you go to Second City as a 15 or 16-year-old and say like can you do that? I feel like it's a little too early. Like is there a bridge?
You can. The Second City does a really good job of like their youth program.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of like Second City, like sometimes like middle school, maybe. I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct about that, but there's definitely high school age kids that are running around the Second City.
Good.
And they have like day camps and things like that. That's also if you live in the Chicagoland area. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't live in the Chicagoland area and don't have access to that. But I tried to audition for the Second City when I was 17. They said that I was too young, but I definitely tried to make that bridge happen. It took a few more years, but I eventually broke that egg. But I was also lucky to have one of the top 5 children's theaters in my backyard that had an amazing comedy program that really got me addicted to that whole art form. So,
and Aaron, anyone listening or watching, just Google Second City. I mean, Second City isn't like there's nothing wrong with the local theater, the local this, but Second City is a much grander skill. If you look at some of the alumni, it's no joke. I mean, it's the Juilliard of comedians, man. It's effing amazing. So let me ask you, a KC guy. Some of the just KC guys, just a few names off: Rob Riggle, Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis, Harrison freaking Ford, Walt Disney, Don Cheadle, man. Casey's no joke. I mean, I left off like 20 names. Like,
I didn't know Harrison Ford was from Kansas City. Let me just say that.
That's what
I had no idea.
And you watch. If I'm wrong, somebody in the comments is going to say, "Hey, a-hole, Harrison Ford is from Indiana." Like, watch.
You left off also Dr. Phil McGraw, so you need to put some respect on his name.
I do. You know, and it's funny because it's not like I'm expecting like not these names, but like you're thinking, okay, let's think of some alum from this, and it's pretty impressive. But let me ask you, you have a BA, and I hope I get this right, comedy, but like, tell me about that. Like, tell me the exact degree. Tell me exactly how that works, Aaron, because like I'm of the school that either you're funny or not. I've seen your stand up. I've seen some of the stuff. You're funny. You are born with that. Like somebody that's not funny can't get up. You can become better at being somewhat increasingly not as bad, but you can't go from this end to this end. If you're not a great actor, you can work your way to being manageable.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy is a whole different beast. And if you don't get sarcasm, if you don't get comedy, I don't know, man. I feel like it's a black and white. It's an on or off issue. That's what I think. I don't know.
1,020%. But I would say, I think I went into college kind of with a very similar thought process, especially someone like, I felt, this went away very quickly, by the way, but I felt a little bit elitist kind of going into college just because I had, before even going to college, I'd already shared the stage with like Paul Mooney and like Dave Coulier and
legends. We're gonna talk about that. Legends.
Yeah, like legends. And like, I mean, even like working with like Eliza and like working with TJ and like all that had happened before the age of 18. So I kind of went into this comedy program with a little bit of kind of like, I know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get better. And I remember having an improv class my freshman year, second semester of freshman year. And there was a guy in the class that was just awful, Derek. That was just god awful.
Yeah.
And I remember being in that class and like, I didn't blow it off, but like, I was definitely like hung over some of those classes. And I was definitely like rolling in like a little bit late, like, I got this, right? Like I got this. And sure enough, his name is Ryan. Sure enough, as the weeks went by, I saw this kid that was god awful the first week. By the last week of class, man, he was so funny. Wow. I have never seen a transformation happen so fast, but he really took the time and like digested all the information that was being thrown out and just took the notes. As with me kind of coming in with a little bit of with an air to me a little bit and kind of like not thinking I'm better than this, but also thinking I'm a little bit better than this. And it really taught me a really valuable lesson of just kind of, you can always get better. And just seeing such a vast change made me also really appreciate the comedy program as a whole. Those teachers really, really know what they're doing. Shout out to Ann Libra. She's the director of the entire program, or dean of the entire program, whatever her title is, but she's incredible.
Wait, so hold on, Aaron. So I know who you warmed up for. You warmed up for Coulier and Paul before you were 18?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I did Dave Coulier twice. I also had done Catan. I'd also done
Chris
else? Michael
Kattan?
Winslow. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, you did Michael Winslow and Chris Kattan before 18?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a really
so how does that work, Aaron? Like, how do they? That's pretty amazing. I mean, one's an SNL legend. I mean, Jesus. Like, how does that happen?
Also,
I mean, the guy have a million voices. Yeah,
he's insane. He's also in the most. I've never laughed and like gotten emotional from a comedy show until watching his. Later, Bo Burnham, but him, like I was like, you're incredible. But that happened because we had a comedy club. We had two comedy clubs at the time. There was the Improv, and then there was Stanford and Sons. And so Stanford and Sons ended up kind of
great name, by the way.
Stanford yeah. It was great. Yeah. And it was ran by three brothers that started the comedy club. I think originally started by their father, and then they eventually kind of had a fallout with their dad and took over the business. And it was a staple in Kansas City, and they had some of the biggest names of comedy kind of just going in and out of there. They have a very sketchy reputation, but and a lot of comedians do not like them. I mean, unfortunately, they've all passed away now since then. But and I kind of see where a lot of the comedians are coming from, just straight up, just because they just weren't paying them or paid them in like chicken tenders and stuff. But because I was so young, they kind of really pulled me in and shielded me away, not from everything, but shielded me away from the really bad stuff, and kind of kept my innocence intact to a degree, because they all had children, and really kind of just gave me a lot of opportunities to meet and work with Carlos Mencia. I mean, dude, it was insane. But every time somebody came in town, John Reap, I mean, the list can go on. They Brian Dunkelman, like so many people, man. And I really, really will always appreciate them for that. I mean, just for that opportunity. That was pretty cool.
Aaron, does Carlos Mencia deserve the shit he gets for jokes and all that shit?
I don't think that I was in middle school when a lot of that.
No, this isn't on you. I mean, you could pass on this. I'm not
no. It's the truth. This was in middle school when a lot of that was happening. I don't think anyone should steal jokes.
Right.
I mean, if you look online, I think that the evidence is pretty damning. But what I would say is that, parallel thought is a thing. If that's the case, I really don't know. I was not there. But to really understand his intentions when he was in Los Angeles and like becoming that guy, but other people picking up on this is his joke, this is that joke, I really don't know. But I will say, with working with him, he was the sweetest guy.
Seems like
the sweetest guy. The sweetest guy. And like, I remember the night I opened up for him during his closing bit, he did this thing where it was he was the one that taught me how to do a crescendo in comedy. And he said on stage, Aaron, I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to do. And no one in the crowd really knew why he would say that. But I knew as a comedian that he was trying to show me a structure of a joke structure. A joke structure that I will say today I overly use. I love it so much. And just small things like that, man. He was a really, really sweet and kind, and was just like a motivational person.
Here's what I'm gonna say about him, and it might be in defense of him. I don't know, but like I'll think of stuff like in my other job, like I will say something and everybody will be laughing, and I'm like, I just totally ripped off a Step Brothers line, a movie from Step Brothers, or a line from like sometimes like stuff processes where it's like I think I was really original in coming up with it, but it's like I unintentionally totally just rips, like, you know what I'm saying, like
exactly
it wasn't my creativity. I saw a movie and I see an S load of movies, and I'm listening to a lot of writers and what their things are, so like when I say something I'm like, oh, that's mine, but it might get lost in time, I don't know. So like that would be my saving grace for Carlos if I were in his spot.
I would say the same thing. I mean, like, I think it's very well possible. Again, there are a lot of other people that were closer to that situation in the early 2000s that might have different insight. It could probably shed even more light. But another thing I'd also say that I've seen a lot of comics do on the road that are beloved is that comics from the early 2000s, they would take street jokes and then they would turn those into bits, and people automatically assume that the street jokes are their original bit. And so then if someone else takes that same joke, maybe putting like a slight spin on it, they're like, oh, you stole that joke. No, the other guy also stole the joke.
Yeah.
The derivative is a street joke that has been around for 40 to 50 years. Yeah. Not saying Carlos has done that, but I'm saying, again, I don't think I've looked into this. All I can say is the man was super nice, man. Like, he was just really cool. He was
but you're not speaking for anybody. What you are saying, though, is that like stuff is heard, whether street, movie, TV, like it's stuff is out there. It's like sometimes it's not like one person like created, like, so it's not like Elon Musk is creating this car that like people are copying. It's like stuff happens. Like it's not like one path. I get what you're saying.
Exactly.
Two other guys I wanted to ask you about. TJ Miller is super funny.
He's a great dude, man.
And the other one is Chris Redd. Do I have that right?
Yeah, no, yeah. So Chris Redd was the first person I opened up for in Chicago.
Wow.
SNL guy, big bro for sure to a lot of comics from my class in Chicago, and really like gave us the blueprint. Like there's a lot of guys that you're gonna probably start seeing around like the comedy space that are from Chicago that like remember Chris Redd's reign in Chicago. And I think that was just one of the coolest and most inspiring things I think anyone ever saw. No one will ever will fully know what that man did and what then he continued to do in Los Angeles. That was insane.
Aaron, you are, speaking of Chris Redd, you are tailor-made for somebody who's watched. I'm 49 years old. I've watched SNL since I was 15, 14. Yeah. You are tailor-made for that show. Listen, it's a little lean right now, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like, I really feel like you'd be a great fit. Your background is very unique. Stage, movies, screen, what you're doing now with stand-up. I don't know, man. Like, is that a hard achievement? Because I mean, obviously it is, but like, I feel like watching your stand-up and watching what you can do. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like you are perfect for this forum.
I really appreciate that. I mean, I think it's just like a matter of just like circumstance. I think if it were to happen, I think I would take that opportunity and I would just run. I think that it would be a lot of fun, and I kind of have an idea of some of the things that I could bring to that show, but it's just the stars have never aligned, you know? Like right when I got out of college, I booked a pilot, and then I was around for like a year in LA, and then the world shut down, and then when the world opened back up, I got unstable. So
yes,
which I'm so excited about, but it just never, the cards for SNL, it wasn't as if that wasn't a passion of mine, because I've been writing sketch and doing stand-up, as you already know. It just never lined up. It just hasn't lined up yet, but that doesn't mean, who knows what the future holds.
Two questions before we get into Unstable.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of people talk about Chappelle, and he's fantastic. I get it. Mm-hmm. I feel, Aaron, and you're a stand-up guy. Why is Eddie Murphy left out of? I mean, they say, oh, he's fantastic and that, but like for me, for my mountaintop, like I'm a 50-year-old man in October. Like Eddie Murphy's been the king of it for me. Like Raw, mm-hmm. and he did 2 or 3 others that were just like out of this world. I mean,
yeah.
Is it? I mean, I don't want to ask you like who's better, but like,
do
you feel like in a way Eddie Murphy is not given that, like, I don't. People always throw him in the top stand-up, so it's not like I'm not saying that, but.
No, for sure.
I don't know, man. I feel like Chappelle's the best, or this guy's the best. It's like, hello, yeah. Eddie Murphy's here. Like history doesn't change,
I think that what you're classifying are what are called quote unquote comedic rock stars, right? And these people that achieve comedy on a level that is so massive that the mainstream is forced to kind of just like hug them, and they become beloved in a lot of ways. And I think that the reason why Eddie Murphy is left out is just a generational thing. I like it. It's because I mean, up until obviously I'm really into stand-up, so my perspective is going to be a little bit off. And I would probably say that Eddie Murphy is one of the reasons why I started doing stand-up. But to the average person that's my age, I mean, we know him from Daddy Daycare. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't really, in maybe the Nutty Professor. I would say like, but not even the first one. I had to go out of my way to watch that one. I think my Uncle James took me to see the second one. So like, it's not as if like I do not remember the reign of Eddie Murphy, because I literally was not alive. And if I was alive, I was like really young. But with Dave Chappelle, like the Chappelle Show was one of the first things
I get it.
that I like. We went to Branson, Missouri, and me and all of my family sat in a living room and watched the Chappelle Show. So he is a huge part of my childhood. The same thing goes for Kevin Hart and all these people that are massive right now. But like, I could still go back to Pryor. I'm a huge Pryor fan. I'm a huge fucking Red Fox fan. So like, but the average person that's not super into comedy probably wouldn't name any of those people.
Aaron, is Pryor King of the Hill?
Yeah. Yes. In my opinion, he is.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's King of the Hill, though, because it's so transparent. He never lied.
Yeah. Yeah.
The man never lied.
Not an easy life growing up either. Like growing up where he did. Like, come on now.
It's really hard. And I don't think that here's one of the things that I find really interesting about this time period. And sorry, this will not be a tangent. I'm going to try to put this.
Man, the floor is yours. You take your time. You do what you have to do.
What's hard and what and we're in the middle of a WGA strike right now. And I really hope these writers get what they deserve. But we're in a really interesting period in time right now where media, right, is still fairly new, right? And it's still fairly it's still evolving, obviously, and phones being in the mix and now, AI and all these different things, right? But we're seeing technology evolve, but we're also seeing lessons being learned by people in real time that have been in the quote unquote limelight.
Right.
And so over time, you're seeing, it's happened in the music industry with certain genres. And then what always ends up happening is another genre ends up popping up that is completely transparent and resonates with so many people. But then the market and the industry does what it always does, and it waters that down with people that are maybe not as transparent. And then it becomes this whole kind of commercialized process.
Right.
I don't know if we're seeing the commercialization of comedy, but I will say that comedy right now is hot because of TikTok and because of Instagram Reels. And so one of the things that we were taught in comedy school was like a degree of separation between yourself and between your jokes. Because if you're not fully healed from a situation, it can be actually very traumatic to talk about something that you might have literally an emotional response to, but you're making everybody else laugh, and it creates a slew of mental health diseases and whatnot. With that knowledge that's in the zeitgeist, I think it would be incredibly hard to see a Richard Pryor again. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, man.
It's just a theory. I'm just saying.
No, but there's I feel like there's people so when I'm sarcastic and I'm angry or I'm making people laugh, not to your level, but I feel like maybe I'm not healed from some of this stuff that's happening in my life. Maybe I'm just saying stuff to say it out loud to get healed. I don't know, man, but your point is 1,000% on. Aaron, one last question before we get into Unstable quickly.
Yeah.
When you growing up as a kid, right? So your influences, this, whether it's acting or stand up, who would you put, or a movie? If you wanted to throw an actor or movies or multiple things, who are you throwing out there, Aaron, for your early influences? And I'm sure this is not an original question. I get that, but
no, for sure.
But who, Aaron, do you think in your life would you attribute to your career in stage, in screen, in comedy?
I would say that it's been a lot of people for a lot of different, for a lot of different things. For acting early on, I would probably say Will Smith. I think just watching The Fresh Prince and just kind of being wrapped in its character. But as I got older, and the answer that I probably would still say today for both filmmaking and for acting, and just as an actor that is an artist, creating a world, is Jason Segel, man. I think he is
dude,
incredible.
Have you seen Shrinking?
Yeah, of course I've seen. I am literally obsessed. The only thing I haven't seen, which makes me kind of a lame fan, are his Muppets movies. But that's because it didn't really appeal to me. But everything that he has made and written and starred in, that's something that I hope to achieve one day in my career, is that type of success.
Aaron, when I watch, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when I watch Shrinking, I forget how good he is. To your point, I forget how, there's he's with Paul Rudd. Speaking of Kansas City, Paul Rudd. But you forget how effing good he really is. The fact that you bring him up, man, is a great. Yeah, that's awesome. I would not have expected that. I would not have expected.
No, love. I have been obsessed with him since probably middle school. That whole trilogy. Was it a trilogy? But Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, And then he had like a slew of other movies that came out that were one-offs, but it was like, it just was like a lot of heart, but like him being like incredibly like it reminds me of, in some way, shape, and form, kind of like the amount of content that was coming out with Dean Martin, like Jerry Lewis, and like that whole time period.
Look at you,
but
dude. Look at you.
Do you see what I'm saying though?
Yes.
Like, of where it's like this insular world, and then these characters are just all playing, and I'm like, this, you don't really see it. It's kind of happening with The Rock now. It's not comedy, but you see what I'm saying though. It's great. It's cool.
What's the Paul? Is it my friend,
my idiot brother?
But like they're so good with each other, and it's like,
wait, was it my idiot brother?
No, it's something my friend.
No, it's about them being the best man.
Yeah.
What's it called?
They go to a Rush concert.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, I have so much.
But that whole movie is hilarious, though. It's great.
Yes. So let's talk. Speaking of iconic people, let's talk about Unstable. We just started this. I freaking love it. Like it's so funny as hell. And the reason I'm starting, usually when I talk to a guest, I've already seen everything, but I just had a baby, so like I'm a little bit behind on stuff.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, man, Rob Lowe, awesome, and Tommy Boy, dude, he seems like he has a wonderful sense of humor. Yeah. Certainly on screen, but off as well, Aaron.
Yeah, no, he's hilarious. Yeah. Like, he's really silly. I remember like seeing him do like impersonations of like animals and of like different people. He's really fun to be around, like both on and off screen. He's just like, he's very funny, also incredibly professional, but dad vibes for sure. But he also like can fit in with the young people. Like he's a good dude. He's a good role model.
Dude, I'm a dad. I look like a train wreck. I wish I looked like Rob Lowe. What the? I wish I looked
Atkins diet, man.
Geez. Dude, I need Atkins, plastic surgery, and maybe a couple more out of that.
Oh, I think you look fine, Derek. You look fine.
Thanks, man. Fred Armisen, too, man.
Dude, hilarious. I actually only got to work with Fred for one day. Just because if you notice, there's not really a lot of crossover between my character and his, but there was a day where we block shooted a bunch of different scenes, and he had to be there the same amount of time. I think that was like a 12-hour day. It was really long, and I got to hang out with Fred Armisen like all day, and it was everything I ever wanted it to be. It was fun.
Sneaky SNL top 5, maybe top 10 of all time. He's that good. Like,
no, this is completely different personalities, but I would say he's my Chris Farley, in my opinion. For me personally, like he was the guy that like made me want to watch SNL. Later, Keenan took that spot, but like,
great picture of you and Keenan on your Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, dude, freaking love that guy. He's great.
He's awesome. Yeah. Before I let you your social media and all that other fun stuff, man, do you feel like TV comedies are great? They're doing well.
They are.
But the movie comedies, I feel like, are not. Like, I feel like people are too worried about offending somebody else. Like, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I got to tell you, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I could throw in Step Brothers, this movie, that movie, and I'd laugh my ass off. I'd love it. I mean, it's so funny. Now it's like, okay, now we're too afraid to hurt this person and that person and that person. Aaron, I'm not trying to back you in a corner. Say whatever you want. Say whatever you don't like. I am not trying to do career sabotage on you, but like,
no, for sure.
What can we do? Like, there's like, if TV can be funny, like, why can't that translate into movie funniness? Like, where's the disconnect here, man? Like, help me.
I think that you're seeing a lot of the movie creators kind of transition over to TV. I mean, like, I think Adam McKay is a perfect example. And even, and even like the production company that I think that's now dissolved, Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. But Adam McKay to me is a perfect example of a really great filmmaker. And even Judd Apatow. I mean, like, great filmmakers that have produced really great films, but have now also made the kind of pivot over to television. And I think that it works because you're able to create a world and just make it kind of a little bit longer, and you might get more jokes than you might get, versus like a 2-hour movie where you tell the entire thing. So, I just think that's something that I have noticed. It doesn't make, anything right or wrong. It's just one thing I've noticed.
Yeah, man, I'm a super, like, I really think big, like, I say this and I want you to know I'm being sincere. Like, I really think like the future for you is super bright, man. Like, I've seen some of your stand-up clips, like they're original. Like, some people throw they throw people under the bus, or they're profane for the sake of just throwing out a word. No, man, you're creative. Like, there was a bit I was watching on your Instagram about the hospice. Like, so,
oh my gosh, that's
like
crazy.
So,
yeah, it's
like,
a true story.
Yeah, true story, but like so sweet. Like, that's Jason's. Like, that, going back to your, like, that's Jason Segel. Like, in a nutshell. By the way, Love You Man is the movie we're thinking of.
I Love You Man. That's what it is.
But like, man, that's the thing from your career, man, is so original. Like, I was watching. I'm like, this guy's got something. There's something deeper here, man.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. I think that I'm just in like a fine tuning phase, you know? I just want to be literally the best that I can possibly be. And I think within that, to get that type of affirmation, it really means the world to me, man. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say is, what is around the corner for you? What do you want to say? And anything you want to get off your social media is really great. Like, there's one post you had where you talk about your evolution of your life, and it was like kind of like a grainy VHS video.
Yeah.
So original, man. Like,
thanks,
I don't know, whatever you want to say, Aaron.
Man, I just want to say, like, please follow me on Instagram. It's at Aaron Branchworld. You can also follow me on Twitter at Aaron Branchworld as well. And I'm also on TikTok, Branch Boy Comedy. I know they're different, but it's just a different kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, be on the lookout. I might be coming to a city near you very soon. And yeah, just follow me on social media, man. I have a lot of ideas, and I think they'll all kind of start to unfold over the next few years.
You got any shows near Massachusetts coming up?
Dude, I actually
New York, any East Coast, nothing East Coast?
I'm trying to make a trip happen to New York very soon. I literally was just talking to one of my best friends who just moved back there, and I haven't done the New York circuit since like 2018. So it's been a minute. And I really just need to do that. I'm actually thinking about moving there for a couple of months. That's a different thing, and I might be in the fall. So maybe we can meet up then at some point.
Aaron, thank you, and please come back, man. Like, you're so much
fun
to
dude,
talk
I would
to.
love that. I would love that, man. Thank you for this. This is great.